Welcome back to the course. This is Privacy and Security in Online Social Media, Week 4, Part 4. This is the last part of this week. So in this week, if you remember, we have been seeing about fake news. What is fake news? How does it spread? What kind of social media platforms make use of where the fake news actually spreads faster? All of that is what we have been looking at. Last part, we looked at some specific theories in which the fake news actually spreads. Something that bias, something that you have, if you hear it more number of times, you feel like it is true. All of these kind of concepts we saw in the last part. This part will continue with it. We'll actually continue seeing how to actually identify fake news, and that's the part 4. The next week we'll continue actually looking at, now that we know how to spot fake news, can you actually develop methods? Can you actually develop engineering solutions, research problems around finding fake news? Okay. Any questions, any thoughts? Feel free to drop in the discourse. The discourse channel seems to be a little low on the volume of messages, but I hope it'll increase as you start liking the meaning different parts of the course probably is of different likings for different people. So I hope that you will connect to the content as much as possible. So how to spot fake news, right? So what did we see? We saw that images could be morphed. We saw that the text, the link could be actually malicious, right? We saw some ways by which it's an old picture reused. We saw that it could be actually because of some religious reasons, partisanship, all of these satire news. All of these methods have been used to spread fake news. So now, can you actually find ways to detect them, find methods to find out which of these are fake content? Right. So we'll go from very, very traditional methods. So the first is looking for the source, right? So if you look at the source, from where the content is being delivered, right? In this case, the information, the news says is British citizens found a loophole to get the new iPhone 6 for £1, right? And the source of the URL is bbc.com, which is okay, -latestnews.xyz. So if you remember, we talked a little bit about WOT before, which is Web of Trust. At some point, we also talked about specifically the creation date, right? The creation date of the domain. Right? The creation date of the domain is a key player in terms of deciding how legitimate the domain is. For example, we talked about stanford.edu and IIIT.ac.in. The credibility of this is far higher than this because this was created probably 100 plus years before. This is created only like 25 years before. Right. So just the creation date can be, but of course there are many other ways by which you can actually find out the legitimacy, which is number of links connected to this domain, number of clicks connected to this domain, number of links connected to this domain, hyperlinks, right? And then, so this is connected to the Google idea called PageRank. So you can essentially have rank to every domain and use that rank to decide whether how legitimate this website is. And there is also Alexa ranking, right? Alexa ranking around the world, which is, it can actually give you, as of now in India, what are the top N number of websites that people are accessing. Like this, you can go back in time and say that, okay, in 2019, in 2020, what were the different sites, top N sites that from India, from Australia, from New Zealand, whatever demographics that you want, particularly the location demographics, it can actually give you some data. Right? So keeping all that, you can actually use the method of checking the source. Right? That's the first method to identify fake content. But now, how do you programmatically do it? Of course, if you're getting an image, if you're getting a news article, can you actually go find out what domain it is? Use all this WOT, all these methods to find out the credibility of the domain, and use that to decide whether the news is credible or not. Right? So that's how. Whatever we are seeing now, how do you convert it into a technology? How do you convert it into a solution? Is what will be interesting for us, right, as part of this course also. Look for other credible sources publishing the content, right? So now, for example, this one says BBC. BBC News is, of course, the fake website here, but if the news was on, let's take the Quint, can you find out whether similar news is actually being talked about in other domains, like in this case, Alt News? Right? So the idea is also connecting to something that we have discussed before. For reiteration, you go to Google, you put the content in put the title of the news in Google, and see whether there are any other articles that are coming up. And the articles that are coming up are also in other credible sources, then probably the news is actually legitimate. Again, all of this can be done programmatically, right? You take this title, do a Google API search, look at the results, look at the top 10, find out the credibility score for top 10, and have a threshold, and anything that is greater than a threshold, you say that it's credible. I'm just giving you what are the, so to say, logic that you can use in terms of writing programs for doing the same thing. Right. Next is check the author. So first is domain, then you look at other sources, other credible sources. Now you're looking for who's the author of the post itself, right? For example, in this case, it says, Amna is an academic weapon, blah, blah, blah. Why is real estate company giving out fatwas like this, right? So the source of the content, in particular, in this case, the author, is what you should be looking for. And so in our social case, what can we decide? We can actually look at the Twitter handle, @Ponguru. We can look at the name of the account, which is Ponnurangam Kumaraguru, right? So the idea is that you're going to get the author details to decide whether it is credible or not. That's where this particular method is going to come handy. Next is check images are authentic, right? So in this case, it is, you look, for example, if you go to this, you can even say that, okay, let's just analyze this image, whether this image is authentic or not. Authentic or not in terms of whether it is morphed, whether in terms of it is being spliced. There are many methods. If you go and look at image analysis, look at computer vision, image analysis literature, there's a lot of literature to show, a lot of work done to show different ways of which the images can be actually morphed. So in this case, photos of shark taken during Hurricane Sandy 2012. This is a morphed image. The shark got added, the flood was there, but the shark got added into the image for it to be spread. We have seen this image before also in the course. Right? Check images are authentic. Find out whether the images that in which the news is spreading is actually legitimate. You could actually think of the other events that we have discussed, right? Boston Blast, right? All other events, images that we saw, we could actually analyze whether they're legitimate images. Quality is key, right? Check for comments, check the grammar and spelling. They're like simple methods that criminals actually use in terms of, for example, this one, right? BBC.com is something that people would know, and the URL is bbc.com. I'm not really looking at what is later. Right, so that's where the quality is extremely important to look for the content. So check the comments, right? So later we'll also look at methods in which the crowdsourced solutions for finding. We actually saw it in earlier part of this week also, right? Where research showed that the crowdsourcing methods of finding whether a content is legitimate or fake seems to work well. Right? It helps in terms of reducing the impact of the fake news. There are other methods, of course. The companies are producing different solution technologies, deleting the content, deleting the post, all of that. But this crowdsource method of finding out whether it is legitimate or not seems to also work very well. Right? So the crowdsource can also look at the comments, right? So there's a legitimate post, the kind of comments. There's a fake content, the kind of comments. There's always a difference there's always going to be a difference in the comments that you see for fake news. Can you actually use that to find out? If it's a YouTube video, again, how do you programmatically do it? You see a YouTube video, you go and look at the comments. Comments may say that, oh, this is actually a fake content. Oh, this video is already 15 years before somebody posted. Here is a link. The image that is shown in the video is not legitimate. Here is a real image. All of that will come as comments in YouTube or replies in Twitter. We can use that to make the choice. Check the grammar and spelling, meaning if you look at the content for fake news, the spelling, right, of the post can have errors. Actually, there have been posts which has errors, spelling mistakes. Sometimes I think it's not clear why these mistakes happen, because it's just a copy paste of the real post or real content that is otherwise created. Why these spelling errors? Meaning this is also extremely common in phishing emails that are sent out also. Yeah. Check for biases, right? So we talked about the bias in the earlier part of the week. Here are many sets of biases. I'll let you actually go dig into all the biases. Let's talk about one or two biases. It's confirmation bias, right? Confirmation bias is that somebody is telling me something, I'm biased because the way that I have certain perceived understanding of some topics, right? Loss aversion, which is that, look, I don't want to believe this, is because if I believe it, I'm going to lose something. All right. Gambler's fallacy, availability cascade, framing effect, right? This is also a very important topic of study, which is framing, where the question is to study how content is framed in terms of discussion. For example, elections is a great topic where content gets framed a lot, right? Right. So it is important to keep these in mind. Bandwagon effect, which is something that we said in the earlier part also, which people are saying, so I should actually believe it. So these are different types of biases which can occur possibly in thinking whether the content that you're looking at is fake or not. So, so each of these biases can be actually some way or the other thought about how to implement in a technology. But the idea for me here is to show that, look, there are so many biases that actually creeps in when you're deciding on a content to be fake or not. So read beyond is very similar to the Google one that we spoke. Take the text and put it in Google and look at other credible sources. Read beyond is that, see, it is also removing some of the biases, right? If you remember in last part, we talked about echo chambers. If you read beyond the content that is coming in your chamber, then probably you're going to get some outside view of the content, outside view of the topic, which can actually help you have a better view on the topic. Read beyond, ask the experts. So I get a lot of, I'm not claiming that I'm an expert in any of these, but I get messages from people that are connected to me saying, oh, here is a video, PK, we saw, is this real? This information that is floating around is WhatsApp. Is this actually real? Can you find out and let us know? Both professionally and personally, right? Professionally, of course, there are people who know that I work on this topic, but also personally, some relative of mine will actually forward it and say that, can you tell us whether this is real or fake? Ask others in terms of, that's the idea, right? Fact checking, right? So until now what we saw is actually the different ways of identifying fake content. If you remember, we also talked about in the last part an idea called fact checking. Fact checking is whether information provided in the news, is it correct? Factually correct? Did that happen? Is the number quoted correct? All of this is becoming or is already a large industry, including companies like Facebook, Microsoft, YouTube. All of these companies are actually investing in creating teams which do only fact check. Either they have their internal team which is doing fact checking, or they actually work with fact checking companies which do this checking. And therefore, how do these companies, how do these organizations do fact checking is an important question to do. And possibly one of you will probably build a fact checking company, fact checking algorithm, fact checking solution, fact checking methodology, which probably can be useful for your in your society, in the environment that you live. Right? I mean, we can think of global solutions, but as I've said before, I think some of these solutions are super hyper local, and having these solutions built for your environment is actually very useful. So let's look at, I think I've explained this, but let's just look at what is fact checking in a more formal way. Process of verifying factual information to promote the veracity and correctness of the reporting, right? So any news that reports saying that, oh, earthquake happened, the Richter scale was 4.7. Is that even right? Floods happened, 242 people died. Bomb blast happened, 27 people killed. Riots happening, casualties are 444 people, right? So all of these, I mean, I'm just giving you numerical, but it could be non-numerical also, right? You want to make sure that these information are factually correct. That's what a fact-checking company, fact-checking solution would do. So the slides are organized in a way, if you were a company, if you were a fact checker, how will you go about doing the fact checking? Right. First, statement of the claim that will be investigated. So first you want to look at what is that you're actually checking, right? Let's use this example, which is a football. So if you go to fact-checking websites, many of these websites actually give you the process in which they do the process in which they actually look at the news and do the fact-checking. It will be in detail of the steps that I'm going to show you, but you can actually look at other websites also, which will walk you through the process of fact-checking. A football fan launched a paper plane during a match in FIFA World Cup 2022 Qatar, and finally it went to the goalpost. Right. So the first step is to look at the claim that you want to actually verify. In this case, if you look at the example that I gave you, and the last examples I gave you here are all numerical. This one I'm actually fact checking whether this paper airplane actually ended up going to the goalpost. So the fact checker would explain the background and context in which the claim was made. With the start of FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar, social media is also the subject of discussions about football matches. There has been some misinformation as well as news from the stadium. I mean, just explaining the background of, okay, there is football match, there's this 2022 football match happening. Social media is actually being used for talking about these matches. The 42-second video shows a young football fan flying a paper plane from the galleries of the football field. Fans cheered as the plane flew through the air. Finally, it landed inside the goalpost. Users sharing the video claimed it was from Qatar with the caption, "This is an unbelievable goal." And then, as we know, hashtags, right? Hashtag FIFA World Cup, hashtag FIFA World Cup 2022, hashtag FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, FIFA goal of the day. So now, this is the explanation that the fact checker is actually giving, looking at the content. Next is we want to actually evaluate the claim. Claim is that the paper plane went and there was a goal, right? So we concluded a reverse image search. We conducted a reverse image search using one of the video keyframes, which led. So key is also here, right? Video keyframes. So it's a video that's what we're checking. So you take the frame from it and do a reverse image search, which led us to an Irish news website where the same video was uploaded on June 16th, 2022 with the title, "Crowd Erupt After Paper Airplane Thrown by a Football Supporter End Up in a Goal." Video, frame, image, take the frame, reverse image, look at the place where if any of these images have come. There was a video that was found in Irish website, which had the same video. Okay, that's where we are, evaluation of the claim. So now, since it was posted in June, right, we realized it has no connection to FIFA World Cup, because FIFA World Cup had later in the year World Cup. And after searching the internet further with these hints, we discovered a YouTube channel that posted the same video on 7th June 2022 with the caption, "Paper airplanes takes flight at a soccer stadium in Germany." Look at how it's going, right? A post that is, we started on Qatar, then we went to Ireland, now we have come to Germany. Right. So source is now Germany website. Conclusion about the claim being true or false. Fact Crescendo, which is the organization which does the fact checking, found the claim made through the viral video to be false. The video was taken on 7th June 2022 during a Nations League football match between Germany and England at the Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany, and is being misrepresented as FIFA World Cup 2022 Qatar Stadium. So that is what a fact checker would actually do in terms of deciding on whether the news is real or fake. You can really see, right? You can, to some extent, you can automate the process. You can semi-automate the process, reverse image, all of this. Probably they're doing it manually. Is there a way to actually automatically do it? When the post is done itself, can you do all of this and present it to the fact checker? Fantastic set of problems exist in this space. International Fact Checking Network. So this is a network of all the organizations which are committed to solving the problem of fake news. International Fact Checking Network is owned by the Poynter Institute of Medical Studies located in Petersburg, Florida. It was set in 2015. It aims to bring all the fact checkers together. So essentially the goal is, can we actually have an association of people who are doing fact checking? So that's the Indian fact-checking company, companies, websites, all of this. There's actually many fact-checking companies that exist in India. Right? International fact-checking networks. So an overview of Indian fact-checking companies. So these are different websites. When was it created? What languages do you look at? What domains do they actually specialize in? So these fact-checking companies are actually fantastic starting point in terms of solving this problem. Alt News is one, right? So this is where the fact-checking process that I showed, Alt News actually does the same thing and puts out the verdict about the content. Fact Crescendo again, right? They do different languages. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen this video, which is where a phone, Ranbir Kapoor, it looks like there's a fan who is taking a selfie with him. He took the phone and he threw it. It was actually quite viral. I even actually saw it when it was trending on Twitter, that he threw the phone and look what is happening, how is he behaving, all that, the posts are going on. And then it looked like it's actually an ad for the phone where they were trying to show the feature of the phone, and they were filming the advertisement is how it was actually said, right? So meaning it was misrepresented in some sense, I guess. So the websites Fact Crescendo looks at these content, and they actually said that this is not real video. Logically, again, the way to think about it is that there are many different solutions, and many of them actually do the same thing, but they actually look at different languages. They have different methods to do it. The solutions actually connect to different larger companies. For example, these are fact checking by itself is not going to do something, right? They have to actually connect to, let's take Google to show in the results. They have to connect to Facebook for it to show it in the Facebook feed. Snoops, this is one of the large surveys also and large data sets have been made public for actually finding out true stories and fake content. So now, right, if you were to look at the method that we have seen as part of this course, and now think of, oh, how do I automate the process, right? How can I actually make the process more smoother, more easily accessible through programs, and what part of it can be automated, right? So detect, check worthy claim, retrieve documents related to the claim, select the most relevant sentences, predict the veracity, explain and extract an explanation for the veracity of the content, right? Just put in slightly different ways, the same way we saw, look at the claim, find out, reverse lookup of the image, find out different articles that are speaking about it, check whether this article is actually true or not, give an explanation for the same thing. In next part, we'll specifically look at, in next week actually, we'll specifically look at data sets that are created for solving the problem of fake news, all of that. But for now, which is generating fact-checking corpora, which is these are different data sets that are available in terms of fake news, which is claims, how many claims are there, what are the different sources. For example, this one is only from Twitter, this one is from Wikipedia, right? Some of them are extremely popular, extremely well cited, and very well used in Kaggle competitions and all of that. So they have, what are the different labels, do they have evidences, and do they have explanations of the annotations that it has been done also. Very useful, right? Meaning if you have a true positive data set of fake news that are in Gujarati, let's take if some of you are Telugu, I know some of you are taking the class are from, have mother tongue as Telugu. If you build a fake news data set for Telugu, imagine the usability of it, right? Very, very well useful for people to use and detect whether a news is fake or not. Generating explanation, words matter. We pay close attention to the specific wording of a claim. Is it a precise statement? Does it contain mitigating words or phrases? So you want to make sure that the explanations are very, very clear. Context also matters, right? You want to explain that this video was not part of Qatar. It was actually part of a football match that was done, that was played in Ireland, that was played in Germany, in Munich, and this is the actual football match that happened. Timing. Our rulings are based, we explain the claim in full context, the comments made before and after it, the question that prompted it, and the point the person was trying to make. Our rulings are based on when a statement was made and on the information available at that time. So this is also very critical, right? Because all of these problems of fake news is also time dependent, right? In terms of the news is spreading now, you want to make sure that you want to tell whether it is credible or not now. And when the verdict is given, it is given as of then, right? That's the point here. Extracting structured information. Can you design methods for automatic extraction of claims, claimants, and verdicts? Claims, claimants, and verdicts are the important aspect, right? Claims is what is the claim in the article of Sir Ranbir Kapoor throwing the phone, what is the video claim, and claimants is who are the parties that are involved, who's actually saying what is being said. If you remember, checking the source is an important one for finding out fake content, and of course verdicts, right? Is it true or false? Is it possible to extract this from the news article directly? If you're able to extract it, then I think you're making good progress, right? Because given an article, if you find that you're able to extract these three, you understand that this is what an article is and this is the kind of explanation, you can probably recreate it. One other thing I would highly recommend, if this is of interest to you, is to actually participate in competitions that happen in terms of fact-checking itself. So here is a 2018 share task. Many of these share tasks frequently come. You should actually look out for them. Where it's a share task, given the content, they would actually tell you, here is the data, here is the problem, here are the methods that you can use, come back, show us what methods did you use and show us the results. Give us the code, we'll run it and we'll check it and we'll make sure that what you're saying is what you did. We have participated in many of these kind of shared tasks, including fake news, including hate content. So that's what we had for this week. So that concludes the week 4. So you should be able to easily look at now fake content, see how much of content, how much of information is available in these news articles, use them to make judgment whether it is fake or not. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon.